All right, man, we're about to dive right into this clip right here, man. Candace Owens going over the Mahmoud Khalil case, guys. We know that whole situation where the Mahmoud Khalil was essentially detained for allegedly his support for Hamas, and he was involved in a lot of the protests, and his face was out there. So let's get into what she really had to say about this. So this is very interesting here. Shout out to Candace Owens. She's been doing really well ever since she left the trash wire, which is their ratings have gone down the trash. Let's get right into it, man.
Look at the women who brought forth this modern feminist movement, which was really just about hating men.
I actually agree with you. I think you make a very good point there. I do think it was toxic femininity that led to the fight back. And it's tricky with the Tates because I do think some of the stuff they do strays into toxic. And it's just the misogyny stuff. If they cut that out, a lot of what they say about how young men stuff, I don't like it. Anyway, let's move on to somebody else who may or may not have visa issues, currently has one, Mahmoud Khalil. It's a complicated one here because you and I are big supporters of free speech. This guy is married to an American woman who's 8 months pregnant with their child. He's a permanent US resident with a green card. He was leading these protests on the campus, but he doesn't seem to have engaged directly in illegal acts himself. But I thought Marco Rubio had a good point when he said, had he put down his support for Hamas, for example, which this group have definitely done, been very vocal in supporting him, had he put that on his application for the green card, it probably would have been rejected on that ground. And so why wouldn't they have the right now to kick him out, given he's on a green card and he, hid these views until he made them public? The IRS is the biggest collection agency in the world, and with April the 15th now fast approaching, it's more aggressive than ever. Enforcement has ramped up in 2025.
Bad,
if you
guys,
owe back
bad.
taxes or have unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer you do, the worse it gets.
Piers
April
Mogran.
1000 or visit tnusa.com/peers.
Boom, we back at it.
So I would just ask you the question. I did hear Marco Rubio say that, but he said if any person puts down that they support Hamas, then we would get rid of them. No one yet has produced any evidence that he supported Hamas. And
well, the organization that he was fronting, well, the organization has. The organization has. The CUAD has.
The AP debunked that.
Yeah.
The AP, I don't know if you know this up into the minute, but the AP has debunked that. He was actually not a part of the organization CUAD. And in fact, a video is now making the rounds of him from April of last year when he comes out and speaks to the press and says, I'm not a member or affiliated with CUAD. I'm actually here just trying to facilitate negotiations between the university and the CUAD organization. So thus far, and this is at least up to the minute from the AP and also from his own mouth before he could have possibly known he was going to be arrested 1 year later, he's not affiliated with this organization. So there's a lot of lies that we're kind of have to sort through of people that are warring. I'm very open, as I've said from the beginning. If it is proven that he was a part of any organization or if he personally handed out a pamphlet that was about violence, you would have me on board. I am consistent on the fact, and I don't know why they didn't just pick, there were plenty of students who got violent, who broke the law, who were arrested. Why did we make him the poster child for this? This was, to me, just an unforced error. There were so many students to choose from, and they chose this person who hasn't been arrested for anything, doesn't appear to be a part of CUAD, and also isn't here on a short-term visa. He has a green card. He is a United States resident. And that upsets me, obviously, because I am married to a Brit. He is here on a green card. And so it is important for me to know what was why was this decision determined? What are the actual facts? Because if you don't think we're going to get bit by this when the Democrats have power, we almost did. We did get bit by this with January 6th. If I had been there that day when my husband had just been deported because, well, she's here and we don't like these viewpoints that are being espoused on January 6th, so we're just going to deport and ask no further questions. I need them to provide us with something concrete as to why they pursued him and not the many other students who were actually breaking the law that day.
Well, it's interesting about the CUAD because I didn't know that update on that. And that does change it because it seems to me all the reasons to deport him they've been putting out there are to do with him fronting this organization, which has been very vocal in espousing pro-Hamas sentiment, in talking about violence being the answer and so on. If he genuinely is not a paid-up member of this group and has, never been, that's a very different situation.
Right. And not even Marco Rubio said that he was a member of the group. So all we had were a bunch of Zionist accounts that were saying he was a leader of this group. And I was just going, I don't need to listen to Twitter chatter. I actually just need the facts. And people that are saying, oh, we shouldn't be privy to them. Let's be very clear. The White House chose to make him the poster boy.
Yeah.
The White House chose to post shalom. So now we're all interested and we want the facts, and people are going, well, we don't have them or we're not ready to give them. That to me doesn't pass the sniff test. And again, the reason why I'm angry about this is only because, or I'm fired up about it rather, is only because I can just see us getting bit by this when Trump is out of office and the Democrats are in power.
I think inevitably that's what's going to happen. Just quickly, Ben Shapiro, who you used to work with, obviously.
All right, man. So, Ben Shapiro, geez. So essentially, what she's saying makes a lot of sense here, because the guy was never actually. There's no evidence that he was affiliated with any group that was. And they use this so loosely, funding Hamas. Like, how the fuck are you gonna fund Hamas? I mean, you can't even send a fucking penny to any of these countries that are level 3 classified by the CIA, like Syria, and how the fuck are you gonna fund Hamas through Qatar? Like, fuck out of here, right? So these clowns just literally found out that this guy has nothing to do with any of these organizations. There are some serious motherfuckers that they probably should look into, who have threatened and done a whole bunch of other violent shit. And they're like, okay, we're gonna make this guy the poster child as like this. We're gonna scare tactic. Scare the people into stop doing what they're doing, and all these kids are going to go home, and they're scared. The reality of the situation is they have no case against the guy, right? There is no case against him. He's made some statements, but that falls under free speech. Any one of those lawyers the 19 lawyers that you have to pay probably like $1,000 an hour to fucking talk to can easily make up a case for this, and the whole shit's squashed, and Trump is going to look like an idiot. The Republicans are going to look like morons. And like you said, this is definitely a bad look for the Trump administration, choosing this guy out of everybody who they don't have any substantial evidence of him doing anything. The guy's fucking harmless, right? But not only that, like, my whole thing, like, even, look, I as much as I'm pro-Palestinian, the issue is, like, if you're coming in here, you're on a visa, you're not a citizen, you're coming in here and you're saying things that probably don't align with the values of this country, you should face like, if you face consequences, then it's like, dude, you fucked up. You got to swallow that shit, right? Because you're in uncharted territory spewing shit that the government, the general public might not agree with. You know what I mean? So what are you doing? Why are you the face of all these protests and all these things that are going on? So that's on you, right? And that's your responsibility. And, especially when you're on something like that. But, again, shout out to him for voicing his opinion, for supporting. But I think it should be done, it's like he overdid it. And you are on a student visa. You are here on a visa. You're not you're on a green card or whatever. You're not necessarily, you're not safe. You know what I mean? So, again, man, like, it's these situations that I'm like, it's just a big question mark, man. Especially there's another girl here who got sent back from, she came from Lebanon. She's on a student visa. She's actually a doctor, and when they were questioning her, I don't know, it's like, you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. All right, there's enough people out here protesting and voicing their opinions that have U.S. citizens, and that have rights that you might not have, right? So you don't want to be the face of all this, especially if you're coming here on a visa. Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Candace Owens and Piers.